Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. There's a lot of rumors circulating, which makes me cautiously optimistic about what's going on. So tonight, we're going to talk about things that we know for sure they're going to happen and a lot of things that may potentially happen. We're going to take a lot of liberties with that. We're going to keep everybody abreast of what's happening in the situation. So first of all, as you all know, and everybody's been talking about, there's a big meeting going on. This will be March 7th. This will be Friday. And it looks like there is a lot of individuals, a lot of crypto projects that have been invited per se. But when I take a look at this was put together by Crypto Rank. They kind of broke it all down by which different crypto products are made in the USA. Hence, there is a lot of them, and they could, of course, fall into this subsection. But what we're really looking at is who is going to the White House, who is going to be rubbing elbows with the sailors, and with the Lutnicks, and with Donald Trump, and everybody else that's involved in this one. And we can see here that, of course, there's mentioned by Trump, which was the big five: Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, XRP, and ADA. Not that they are, of course, your altcoin or a bad altcoin. I'm just saying these are the ones that have been mentioned. Also, there's another interesting piece here: blockchain products that attend the White House. And we got XCH, Filecoin, Sui, Aptos, Near, and Move. Now, don't get too excited about this. First of all, I don't see Chainlink in there. I know that Sergey Nazarov was invited. I don't see him on this list per se, but this is the specific list about who is going, who is confirmed and not. Now, I'm probably sure that in other channels you may have actually seen this ad nauseum, but here we go again. And this is what we got. We've got, of course, Donald Trump will be there. Hines, David Sachs, the crypto czar, Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, Paul Arduino, I think he's the head of Tether, Kyle Samani, Multicoin Chain or Multicoin Capital, Kathy Wood from, of course, ARC, Charles Hoskinson from Cardano Foundation. I remember when Charles started to talk about him rubbing elbows and talking to congressmen and senators and people high up, people like, he's full of it. Charles is just a great marketer. First of all, he's a pretty good marketer, let's be honest. But looks like he wasn't lying. Anatoly Yakovenko from Solana Foundation, Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum, Nat Eliason from Ondo might be something to take a look at. And then this is the one that gets me. Mark Andreessen, which is A16Z. He's got his hands in everything. And of course, they say, well, who's he bullish for? AVAX and Near. Trust me, Mark Andreessen's got a lot of different investments, and it doesn't just include Avalanche and Near, but those could be some of his big holdings. Paul Atkins, SE Chair, Brian Armstrong, and CZ from Binance can be there. That's odd after we essentially put him in jail, but sure, that's what we got. Now, this is the list that we have tentatively. Now, this could change, but this is where we are moving. And of course, it's not just the people that are going to be there. It's the different rumors that are swirling, such as why Bitcoin price just broke above 90K. And it looks like Lutnick, who I have him over here somewhere. I'm sure he will be there. But it looks like he is saying that there's going to be a massive Trump crypto reserve plan that will be revealed on March 7th. Trump will unveil a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve during Friday's White House Crypto Summit. So if this all comes down to it, this would be great. But how long have we been hearing about a Bitcoin strategic reserve? And then, of course, a stockpile. And now here we go. It seems like an eternity, but it's only been like 3 or 4 months. So I know people get kind of a lot of angst about what's happening. Remember that the wheels of justice move slow. And of course, government also moves at a glacial pace. However, I will say, Trump has been making a lot of moves recently. And this isn't a geopolitical channel. I'll let you parse that out in the comment section. But if he brings this up, and also I heard another rumor that they may be dropping some taxes maybe after a year. But again, this is all hearsay and hopium. So take it with a grain of salt. But this is why we can see that the market's doing pretty well. Also, it's not just our market. You know, the S&P did a pretty good job today, up 1%, which 1.12%, which from them is quite exciting. For us, that is like Tuesday between 4 and 5 p.m. But they're excited. They had a great day. Looks like there's some positive things. One of those positive things that we have is it looks like Non-farm payrolls did not hit expectations. So people might say, well, isn't that bad if we don't have a lot of people getting a bunch of jobs? Potentially. But what it says to the Fed is like, look, our economy is not that strong. There's something going on. And this is from friend of the show, Tom Crown. He put this out there. Non-farm payrolls actual was 77,000. It was supposed to be estimated at 140,000. And the previous was 183K. And we wrote this, non-farm payrolls missed the mark by a large margin. A weaker labor market often prompts the Fed to adopt a more accommodative stance to stimulate economic growth. With job growth falling well below expectations, the Fed might lower interest rates to encourage borrowing, investing, and spending, because that is their unofficial job, to stimulate the economy as they pull the strings behind the scenes. So we were looking at 2 rate cuts. Now they're pricing in 3 rate cuts. But why did this all happen? Why didn't payrolls come in fruition? Why did these jobs not happen? Well, tariffs. And whether you love tariffs or hate tariffs, or you don't even understand what tariffs are, this is what's happening. The ADP says only 77,000 private jobs created in February due to hiring hesitancy amid Trump tumultuousness. So increasing hire was slower since last summer. Everybody's under the assumption, or actually not everybody, it's like half the people are under the assumption that inflation is going to skyrocket. And of course, these tariffs are the worst things of all time. Others are saying it's going to be the best thing of all time, and America's going to be back, and it's going to be awesome. We'll let it all play out. I'm not here to speculate on that. Again, it is what it is. I'm just here to dollar cost average, to wait for some really big pushes, and then make my way to the promised land. But for this one, who knows what it is? And just as a reminder for tomorrow, well, 2 things tomorrow. First, we'll have NFA Live. Ben in the CRYPTOVERSE, and of course, Guy from Coin Bureau will be joining me. And we'll probably be talking about these jobless claims. That's going to come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. U.S. productivity, trade deficit, and I think this will be the big one. I'd love to see what they say about the trade deficit, especially going into this. Now, I don't know if this is from last month, so may not be affected because they were talking about these tariffs, but we'll see. Again, we cannot have a magnificent bull run if the macro is trash. That's just how it is. If we go into some kind of real big dip, then it's not going to happen. That's why we have to take a look at the macro and not just say, hey, there's a bunch of rumors flying around about this or this or this. They're just rumors. And if they come to fruition, great. Chances are we've been listening to these rumors for quite some time. That's just what it is. However, there are some other good points. First of all, this is from Jake Chervinsky. I think he's the head counsel. I don't know. CLO at Variant Fund, Blockchain Association. And he writes that yesterday the Senate voted 70-27. The Senate in favor of the cruise carry CRA, which repeals the IRS brokerage rule requiring DeFi front ends to KYC users. Can you imagine Uniswap having to do KYC, or any other DeFi platform to do KYC and AML stuff? Well, they got that eliminated, so that's pretty good. I just found it's not just that got eliminated and it's great. It's the amount that actually voted, 70-27. 70 senators. We've only got 100. 70 senators in America voted for this to happen, to repeal it, which means they're pretty pro-crypto if they did it like this. Now, of course, there's little caveats that I understand, but as a reminder, I know people are saying like, hey, this strategic reserve is not going to pass because, we don't have enough seats. Yes, we do. And like we talked about this yesterday. This is from River as a big reminder. Usually what it does is we have to go to the House of Representatives. We need 218 for the majority. And if we take a look here, pro-Bitcoin members, House of Representatives are 289. Senate, we need 51 people to approve this, and we've got 59 senators that are pro-Bitcoin members. So if we can get this done for DeFi-friendly users, or to repeal that, we can get strategic reserve done. That's just an assumption by my part. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments section. Then also to finish up, take a look at more macro real quick. China is printing money. And I want you to listen to this. I don't want to tell you what it is. I want you to listen. I want you to hear exactly what is said here. And just take a listen. This isn't about M1 money supply. This isn't about the way they're doing things and how they moved M1 money supply a couple of weeks ago. They're going to print billions of dollars. Take a listen.
Meeting under the shadow of US tariffs. With President Xi Jinping looking on, lawmakers on Wednesday committed extra money to boost the economy. China will now issue some $179 billion in special bonds to lift growth. That includes money to subsidize purchases of electric vehicles, appliances, and other goods. Premier Li Qiang said the country faced increasing external pressures. Meeting under the shadow.
Great. So there's one part. So yes. And, once this happens, as everybody should know, is that Bitcoin likes liquidity. Markets love liquidity. So if China wants to do that and start printing money, that's great. Following in the footsteps of America. So that part is fantastic. Now, we've heard tariffs talked about 3 times. And I didn't really want to do this, but I think I have to. Because, again, I'm not a geopolitical channel. But I want everybody to understand just the basics of tariffs. This video is 2 minutes long. I put this on X. I want you to listen to it. Then we can have a discussion if you want to in the Q&A. Listen to this, 2 minutes long. Yeah, and that's it. So, we'll see how that all works out. But hopefully everybody can understand what tariffs are. I'm sure everybody's going to be talking about it forever. I don't really want to dwell on it, so let's just move on. So, on top of that, some other good, spicy rumors. This is from David Bailey. David, he's the gentleman who created the Bitcoin conference, actually lives here in Puerto Rico. And he states this: China is reportedly exploring a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Not to continue on with the China theme. According to Bitcoin advocate David Bailey, China has been holding closed-door meetings to assess the creation of a national Bitcoin reserve, working double time on the initiative since the U.S. election. Look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it does make sense, right? If Trump comes out and goes, look, we're going to own as much Bitcoin as we possibly can, and El Salvador is ahead of us right now, well, not really, but El Salvador is doing the right thing and accumulating Bitcoin, we're going to be the next big thing. And that will say, well, if they've got it, maybe we should get it. Again, it's all game theory. We'll see if it all pans out. And then finally, Congratulations, hopefully, to Texas. They're set to vote on a Bitcoin reserve bill today. If approved, Texas will be the first U.S. state to acquire Bitcoin. Now, I don't know if this actually went through or not. We'll find out in a little bit. But if this is, Texas leads the way, and I'm very happy for that. And finally, from Nick over at Coin Bureau, let's take a look at some Hopium, which is Bitcoin price predictions. These are pretty good, actually. They're all going to be wrong, probably, but we'll see. So from Matthew Siegel, and again, these are not dumb people. These are fairly smart individuals who've been in the business for quite some time, traditional finance, also into our sector. But here's what we got. Matthew Siegel from VanEck. He believes that Bitcoin would hit 180,000 in 2025. So essentially, that's a 2x from where we're at right now. Bernstein Research says 200,000 by December 2025. Tom Lee, 250,000. I think he's one of the more bullish people. Tim Draper also says 250,000. And but he's been saying that for like the last 3 years, so take that with a grain of salt. Arthur Hayes says it's going to dip to 70K, and then it's going to hit 250K. Man, if that happens, that'd be awesome. I'll tell you why tomorrow. Jeffrey Kendrick, Standard Charter, says 500K by the end of Trump's term. That's in 4 years. I got time. Winklevoss Twins, 500K with no specific timeline. That's weak. Kathy Wood, ARK Investment, says 650,000 by 2030. I think that's been an old one. Dan Moorhead, Pantera Capital, 740,000. That's a smart guy, but in the long term. So who knows what that is? Michael Saylor, 5 million per coin. And what do you think we end up this year? What's your long-term target? Mine's easy. Bitcoin will be somewhere between $5 and $500,000 by the end of 2025. Mark my words. That's it for today. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing when we talk about it's time sensitive. Now, let's talk a little bit of Q&A. I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities, and then we'll get out of here. So what do we have in the Q&A? Perfect. That could be true. 10 million by 2032. I like this. This is not Dan. This is pre-record. Exactly. Rob is the best at price. I am the, I mean, I'm so far, been pretty close. Pretty close. Anyhow, there was no sound. Well, that's not good. Ah, we didn't hear the sound. Well, that sucks. Now we got to do it again. Let's see. Let's see. What a bummer. Oh, I know what I did. Did I do this? Let's listen to this again.
Trade war has officially begun because Canada, Mexico, and China are pissed and have now all announced their own plans on how to retaliate against Trump's tariffs. So what the hell is going on? Well, you see, yesterday Trump's promised 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China officially kicked in. What that means is that any goods sent from these countries to the United States will now cost companies 25% more, or 10% in China's case. So for example, if a Canadian business sent a car to the US that cost $50,000, today US companies will pay a $12,500 tariff at the border. So the price of your once $50,000 car is now actually $62,500. Why would Trump purposefully make things more expensive for Americans? Well, two main reasons. The first is more of a longer-term, unguaranteed benefit, but it would be to change consumer habits to buy more American-made products and incentivize more international companies to manufacture in the US. In theory, that means a stronger US economy, more stable jobs, and less dependence on foreign countries. The second reason for imposing these tariffs would be to use them as a tool to pressure Canada, Mexico, and China into doing what Trump wants. Some of these things that he's publicly mentioned include renegotiating trade deals, stopping illegal immigration, and the flow of fentanyl. There's also the far-fetched idea of Canada becoming a state of America. But here's where things get interesting, because instead of just doing what Trump wants, Canada has clapped back with a 25% tariff of their own, and Mexico said they're doing the same but haven't announced the percentage yet. China reacted a little differently by preparing to file a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization. So why is Trump not backing down? Just listen to this. In 2023, Canada sent 76% of all of their exports to the United States. That accounts for roughly 19% of their entire GDP. In 2024, Mexico sent 78% of all of their exports to the United States. That makes up 37% of their entire GDP. But for America, their exports to both countries combined only make up roughly 2.7% of their entire GDP. So simply put, even if they do retaliate, getting into a tariff war with the United States would hit Canada and Mexico much harder.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer. I know what the glitch was, but I hope everybody heard that. And that's essentially tariffs. So what else we have? All right. That's an obvious one. If you have parked any Bitcoins as currency, you already own your strategic Bitcoin reserve. Probably true. Ooh. Why blanket tariffs? We get 80% of our produce from Mexico when it's off season here. WTF. See what happens. Like I need a petroleum reserve. Yeah, probably true. I think it comes down to this, like if we understand that that Bitcoin is the hardest money out there. And think about this. Like it's very simple. Here, let me show you. See, the problem with me is that I'm an American. And that's really not a problem. The problem is that I see things through the lens of an American. I've never lived through it where the fiat currency has collapsed. I've never been in Zimbabwe. I've never been in Greece. I've never had this just totally collapse me. I haven't lived 300, 400 years ago. So I don't know what it's like to have a currency that fluctuates that much, because I've always used the dollar. And then when I hear from other people, they're like, yeah, like I escaped this and it was because of the degradation of our fiat currency. Then you start to realize, like, well, what is it? What happens when the US dollar starts to get inflated, overinflation, hyperinflation? And then, of course, everything becomes way too expensive, like we're actually seeing right now. I mean, if we can just take a look at, if I can find it, just basic real estate. PQR, pullbacks. This is the problem with having too much examples. It's kind of tough to pull them all out at the right time. Now I have to Google search it.
Insane trade war has officially begun because Canada, Mexico,
and then this one. Yeah, something like this. So this was the average price of a home. This is not the greatest example, but in 2017, the average price of a home was $337,000. And then it pretty much went up 100K by 2025 to 419,000. And let's see, let me share this window. There we go. So when I first bought a house, this is, good Lord, back in the 90s, there was an average house you're looking at, gosh, was this? This was first house was $119,000. I thought it was this amazing amount of money. And then, of course, as time went on, that house is now worth well over 400,000. And is it because that I did all these renovations and made it so great? No, it's just because that they inflated the US dollar. And that's why we take a look at the M2 money supply all the time. And you're going to see that if you were going to print that much, that is essentially the most heinous tax you can give anybody. So when we talk about a strategic reserve, there's only one asset that is truly finite. I know people love gold. I have gold. I own gold and silver, but it's not finite. It's just scarce. And we can find it just by mining more. And if there's the right asteroid passes us, We'll just take that asteroid and start mining the gold out of it. So if you have something like that, there is a fluctuation. But with Bitcoin, that doesn't happen. And since it's been battle tested since 2009, so here we are, and we have the hardest asset in the entire planet. It has a finite amount. We have every single fork of Bitcoin did one thing right, and they did not go past a set finite supply. And that was their one good thing. Now they've all pretty much collapsed. I don't know if you guys remember Bitcoin Satoshi's vision, wherever that is. Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond. I think the latest one that's still around is Bitcoin Cash. And it seems to have some staying power, which is great. But when we take a look at like, why would we have a strategic reserve as far as like Bitcoin? Because it's the hardest money out there and you can't replace it. And you can actually use it as a medium of exchange. And it is superior as a monetary unit in every single way. So once we understand that and not just numbers go up, then things make a lot more sense. So yeah, that's a long explanation. Let's see. Bitcoin Satoshi Vision is about to release Terra node that does 1 million TPS. Sure, sounds good. Anyhow, let's see. No audio for Terra. Golly. Hardly dead. Heinous needs to be said more. It's a good word. Let's see. And Mega Spaceman Spiff says asteroid mining isn't exactly viable yet. I have to agree. But once it is, you can bet that the price of gold will quickly trend to zero. Well, I don't know if it'll trend to zero. There's still value in it. I mean, can you imagine firing off rockets and having people up in space mining for gold? How expensive would that be? Texas Joe says, Rob, why don't more people take that real estate graph more seriously? I'm gonna tell you guys why. It's because when you go talk to your friends, just ask them where inflation comes from. That's all you got to say. And their answer is going to tell you everything you need to know about why people don't get Bitcoin. I guarantee most of your friends are going to say, oh, inflation, that's from those greedy corporations. Or that's from Trump. Or that's from Biden. Because of what they did and the deals they made with their billion-dollar friends. Or it's because of this or that. It's not that. It's because we printed the most amount of money we ever had for the coronavirus. And because of that big sloshing of funds that entered into the market, everything inflated up. And it was only the people that owned assets that got ahead. And once people realize that if you own assets, you cannot fail. I mean, there's certain assets that suck, let's be honest. But the ones that own assets, those are the ones that just sit back and go, if it inflates, so much the better. Because guess what? You got to buy that land. You got to live somewhere. You got to buy this food. You got to buy this produce. You got to buy these goods. You got to buy these services. Just assets. That's the big thing. And I think it goes like, so everybody's, I guess, not homework, but this weekend when you're having fun with your buddies, or you're with your family or with somebody and you want to just understand, like, what the heck? Why don't they understand it? Just ask them, where does inflation come from? Or just ask them like this. This is what I always play. I call it Dare to be Dumb. And I just say, hey, they were talking about inflation. What does inflation mean to you? Where do you think it comes from? Instead of like attacking them. Then people are like, oh, well, inflation's from these damn corporations. Okay. Because Bernie Sanders told me. And then this is a good reminder of what really people see. You're just playing a Monopoly board. And this is essentially the people that are out there. Imagine you just go around. Each time around the Monopoly board is just 1 year. And the only reason that you're going around is so you can collect your $200, i.e. a paycheck, so you can stay out of jail. And then, of course, once you land on Park Avenue, you pay through the nose because you got to pay for those assets. You got to pay to live in those assets. And that's, of course, why the people that never buy any property in Monopoly always go broke. I used to love playing Monopoly as a kid, because what I would do is I get all these little cheap ones down here and I bankrupt my brothers. And I'd laugh at them for being so dumb for not buying them. Anyhow, what else do we have? I like Monopoly. How many Bitcoin does Bernie hodl? Probably a lot. I actually like Bernie Sanders. I know people hate his guts, but I find him quite entertaining. Community chest. Yeah. No, he did not. Free Fighting says Musk found a transaction in the Treasury with no tracer attached for 4.6 trillion. I don't know. That's probably not true. I hope it's not true. I used to steal money in Monopoly when people went to the bathroom. Oh, you must have been the bank then. Yeah, bank's got to take a loan. Sorry. Remember that? You could make loans? Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. I highly doubt CZ doesn't show. You don't turn on an invite for the freaking White House. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Super Bowl champions did. But I think, wouldn't that be something if, the government that put you in jail, you get to walk back in the White House and schmooze with the top people out there? Good for CZ. Don't forget the Canadian dollar is weaker, so the U.S. already has an advantage. I suppose so. Who will be there Friday? Broadcasting live in the channel? Nah. Because, well, if something comes out, I'll probably do something on Friday night. But that's it. That's why I like to stream in the later hours, because then all the good information comes out. And I can just digest it. And I can do the stuff that I want to do. I am wondering who will hold the private key of USA Bitcoin. What if that person backs out after their political term ends? Well, there's this guy that's going to be at the meeting. His name's Brian Armstrong. Not to be confused with Ben Armstrong. And that he's the CEO of Coinbase. And he's got this thing called Coinbase Prime, which he holds the Bitcoin for MicroStrategy and BlackRock and a couple other ETF players. So they probably just go with him. Man, talk about Coinbase crushing it. Tom Crown will be live. Well, let's just go to Tom Crown's channel. Let him do the hard work. I don't want to do it. Web3, favorite real estate play. BNB multifamily thoughts. So BNB is great. It can make you a ton of money, but it's a ton of headaches. Long-term renting is actually, there's not so much wear and tear and damage, depending on who you get in there. And it's income that just keeps coming in, which is fantastic. The problem is that you don't make as much, but it's less headaches. So I do like that. One of the biggest I like is loans and buying land. Loans are great as long as you're the first lien holder. So someone needs a loan for renovation, or someone needs a loan for their house. Hey, great. Private loan application gets done. Lawyers sign off on it. First lien. Things go wrong. Pick up the property. Things go right. Well, and an amortization table will tell you just how much you're going to make, and it's a lot. So, yeah, those are my favorite plays. Let's see. Yeah, MT says it is correct. The guy, there's an individual owned an exchange in Canada, and he died. No one had the keys to all the crypto. I remember that one. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Sad story. Young guy. Urgent Sky. What else we got? Friday Pump and Dump or Stretch Armstrong. Yeah, that's true. In the end, the tariff war will probably impact everyone, and inflation will go up if not resolved quickly. Perhaps. And this is the gamble, so we'll see if it works out. Yeah. And Cactus Jack, we'll leave it with this. Someday banks will use Bitcoin as collateral. Last I checked, they still don't consider them how they do stocks. You know, because of the revocation of, I think it was SOB 121, banks can now custody Bitcoin and crypto assets for their clients. It's just that there's no regulatory clarity. So why would they get involved? That's going to change, and it's going to change quickly. So I expect banks to roll into that business. And there was just a report that unrealized losses, banks across the board in the United States, is up to 500. Gosh, was it over 500 billion? That can't be right. We'll just say it's a lot. So the banks need that revenue, so we'll see what happens out. Anyhow, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by so late. Thanks, I appreciate it. If you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all the good stuff. And that is it. Tomorrow, we will be live with Ben and Guy. We do that at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see what we can talk about. But I'd like to look at the macro data. I'd like to look at the jobs report, jobless claims, and the trade deficit. And also this thing that Ben brought up, the butterfly effect. I don't know. Also, I want to talk to Guy about their why they paired up with Arkham. Anyhow, all that stuff will be tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. See you guys in the next one. Adios.